It's finally here, the Revenant nerf, the Phase nerf, and the Morigesh nerf. Arguably, these three heroes were quite overpowered, especially Phase. Patch 41 brings in a whole host of changes for these heroes, some new skins as well as some changes to cards like Stasis Gem. The biggest introduction to patch 41 is of course Wraith, but I've already talked about him, so if you want, check that video out on my channel. The first hero to get changed was Dekka. Her containment fence is now a solid wall that only Dekka and her allies can pass through. The fence will also no longer apply a knockback, damage or stun, which means you can attempt to find safe spots inside the fence a lot easier. I also think this might prevent allies from being pulled inside. However, I'd imagine Wraith's back it up would teleport the enemy inside the cage. Gideon's black hole has had the initial pull removed, and the steady pull, which is the pull you feel while in his black hole, increased from 300 to 450 units every 0.35 seconds. Kallari's Shadow Walk Fade audio can now be heard by enemies. Casting Shadow Walk will now play a sound heard by both allies and enemies, and Cheat Death audio will no longer play if Kallari is already in the shadow plane. Chimera's Ambush now damages only the selected target rather than dealing AoE damage upon landing, and the slow effect is now conditional upon the damage being dealt. Moragesh has had her mark mana cost increased at all levels except for level 4, her hive damage per dot tick reduced at all levels, and her hive mana cost has been increased at all levels. Her swarm mana cost has been reduced to 80 at all levels. Now I think this change is pretty good. I found Morigesh's mark damage wise not to be that strong, but the fact that she could spam it a lot pretty early on was what bothered me, so increasing the mana cost should help deal with this. Her hive was probably the most irritating ability, so any reduction in damage to that is a positive in my eyes, and increasing the mana cost is a bonus. The fact that they reduced the mana of her swarm is actually a good thing I think. I found myself never using this ability because of the high mana cost. The only time I would actually use it is to escape. I like the changes to Moragesh, they didn't overdo it, and she's not nerfed into the ground. I still think she'll be a force to be reckoned with. Phase has been causing trouble ever since she was released, so this nerf is a relief. Her telekinetic link cast range has been decreased, so you have to stand a little bit closer to tether an ally. The actual range of the tether has also been decreased, and so is the total health regeneration you can get. The duration of the total regen, however, has been increased from 2 seconds to 4 seconds, which I'm not too sure about. I do think that Phase's healing is pretty strong, and it's kind of ridiculous how with some of the cards she can heal up allies insanely fast, but I guess we'll see how it goes. Her blind duration has finally been decreased, and it's now 2 seconds at level 4, which I think I'm okay with. I felt 3 seconds at max level was way too long, and a second reduction will make a big difference. Again, some good changes, ones that I definitely agree with, especially the 2-second blind at level 4. I think Phase is still pretty good, and like Moragesh, still viable. I like that Epic didn't nerf her too hard. Revenant is a tricky one. On one hand, he feels ridiculously strong, especially at high elos, but on the other hand, he has a less than 50% win rate according to Epic, which means that balancing him is a tricky task. Thankfully, I think Epic have got this one right as well. Obliterate now requires line of sight to lock onto a target, whereas previously you could fire through a wall as long as you had vision. This will stop those bullshit moments where Revenant just queues half your health through a wall. And he won't even be able to do that since they reduced the base damage of Obliterate and the card scaling as well. The mana cost has also been increased, and I think all these changes to Obliterate should make it easier for the offlaner in particular, whereas at the moment Phase and Revenant, or Revenant and really any support with CC, was a really tough lane. Scar mana has also been increased. Wukong also received some changes. His Staff of Legend mana cost has increased to 90 at all levels, and the cooldown is now 12 at all levels, and the ability no longer damages or pushes back targets behind Wukong. So some small changes to some heroes while significant ones to others. I think this is one of the better patches so far with regards to balance changes, but what do you guys think? Do you think Epic have hit heroes like Moragesh, Phase and Revenant hard enough, or do you still think they need work? Remember, the card rework is in progress, and that a completely new card system is likely to change the balance way more than any patch Epic is going to introduce at the moment. But holding out for that when heroes like Phase are simply ruining the game is kind of unacceptable, so I'm glad these changes were made. There were some card changes, however. Stasis Gem was increased in cost from 5 to 6 CP, and the cooldown was increased from 45 seconds to 60 seconds. I felt Stasis Gem was pretty broken. It gave you power so you could build it on carries, and its cooldown was shorter than most ultimates you would generally use it against, like Shimbi's, Morigeshes, Kwang's, and so on. So I really welcome this change. I'm not sure if I still like that you can build power on it, but I guess this is one change. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. The rest of the card changes aren't as significant, but I'm sure soon enough we'll see ones that are. The monthly loot crate for July has been updated with the Magma Scarab Grux and Monastic Rogue Kalari being the standout items for me. They've also added 4 legendaries to the loot crates, 2 for Feng Mao and 2 for Greystone. So what do you guys think of the patch overall? Did they do enough? I actually really like this patch and I think it should make for a better experience. I'm looking forward to Wraith and the different types of strategies he brings to the game. We should have details about the card rework very soon, so subscribe to stay up to date with that. Smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and until next time guys, peace.